So somebody is saying, my mom just died. And I just can't focus because I'm in so much pain. Like, you don't have to say, well, my mother ain't dead, so I don't know what she's talking about. What is she talking about? You should be able to understand, gosh, if that would happen to me, that would be very tragic. So I understand her not feeling she has any energy or not being able to focus right now. So empathy is you being able to draw. Hey Fivers, welcome back to another episode of 5 Years to 40, the podcast and community dedicated to millennials who are talking, thinking, and taking tremendous steps towards a fascinating and fabulous future. We like to keep our conversations on this channel around 4 pillar topics. We talk about our health, we talk about finances, we talk about relationships, we talk about careers. And today I'm talking about something that can be applied to maybe most of all of them. We can definitely do it for relationships, definitely for career. We're talking about empathy. And I'm going to kind of do a slant towards work because these are in the days immediately following COVID-19. And one of the things that I noticed in the wake of COVID, and I'm gonna do an episode just on the few things that I've learned post-COVID. But one of the things I noticed lacking is the need or just a practice of empathy. It was a very strange time for everyone. I kept reminding myself to leave space for that. Like, there is a lot of times that people are going through things, and people, when they go through things, especially traumatic experiences, they deal with it in different ways. So someone might be very, very somber and get quiet and go into themselves, and somebody might just be acting up and you're like, what is going on with you? This is not even an issue. Why? But really and truly, the person's coping. One of their coping crutches is to act out. Regardless of the situation, I felt as though that empathy could have been something used a lot more than it was used in overall. So let's talk about empathy. What is empathy? Empathy basically is your ability to share another person's feelings without actually having to experience them yourself. So somebody is saying, my mom just died. And I just can't focus because I'm in so much pain. Like, you don't have to say, well, my mother ain't dead, so I don't know what she's talking about. What is she talking about? You should be able to understand, gosh, if that would happen to me, that would be very tragic. So I understand her not feeling she has any energy or not being able to focus right now. So empathy is you being able to draw on and kind of appreciate someone else's feelings without having to experience the same thing that they are experiencing. You may say, well, we're at work. I don't need to know that your mom died. I don't need to know that your cousin is sick. I don't need to know that your aunt is stuck in the States and can't come back because of COVID-19. Why are you telling me all these things? No. You need to be able to do it because relationships are important, and empathy can help you to build strong relationships and just have a better and better relationships translate to better productivity. And you will see I talk a little bit more about that in an earlier episode about navigating office politics. So you can go back and check that out, and you'll see the link in between these two. Now, if you don't want to take my word for it, take the word of businesssolver.com, because they did some research on the use of empathy in workplaces, and here's some really great stats. 77% of employees say that they would work longer hours for an employer if the employer is empathetic. 60% said that they would take a lower salary from the employer if the employer was empathetic. And 80% of millennials, the us's in the world, is saying that they would change jobs if their current employer became less empathetic. Like empathy, being able to show compassion, being able to have a caring culture is something that is important for the people for millennials. And millennials are your people that are employed right now, and for the next couple of years, the people that will be coming into your workplace will be millennials, especially the person's not so much, I mean, it could be entry level, whatever level, but the point is a lot of your workforce is made up of millennials. So you need to be aware of the things that they are considering and that they're going through and that they hold important because they're your workforce. You understand? So you'll want to be more empathetic at work. Let's talk about 5 ways that you can do that, right? The first thing I would suggest is to rethink how you listen. Now, active listening. You're not just listening to respond to what a person's saying, so you can tell them, well, that's not really what's going on anyway, so you don't know. Listen to understand. Listen to hear what their feeling is about a situation. And yeah, it might mean taking more time, because if you're listening with an empathetic ear, you're trying to hear what the story is, it means that you actually have to get involved in what the person is talking about. It's not a gloss over or a half listening. You have to listen to what they're saying closely to drag out if there's any underlying issues. It'll take some time, but it's certainly worth it, and listening to people can actually help you to gain valuable information, because you're listening for all the undercurrents. Like, they're telling you this, but is there something else that they're not saying? And you can deduce it once you're able to listen and rethink how you're listening to people, right? The other way you can show empathy at work is to ask better questions. Again, this involves you getting deeper involved into people's life, but it is necessary. Let's say a fiery email lands in your inbox. This person sounds very irate, because you can get some tone where this person is coming from. They're irate about something or the other. An empathetic receiver, the recipient of this email, would not say, let me cut her back up by sending the email back with a tone that's similar to what is received. You can respond by saying, thank you for bringing this to my attention. I want to solve this problem. Can you clarify? That this is what you're asking me to do? Because sometimes people write and they rant in their writing. They just kind of, it's what in local parlance, in Grenada language, we say we get it off our chest. We just tell you what we feel, and this is what's going on. And that could happen in emails too. That would arrive in the inbox. So instead of responding to suit, you ask people, clarify. Is this what you're trying to say? Is this what you need me to do? Is this how I should proceed with this? You also need to ask them for additional information. So you're asking better questions, like, is there something else we need to add to this? If I take this approach, would this be okay with you? And sometimes it's not up to them, but just to give people the perception that they are being listened to, and that their opinions are valued and matter. That is showing empathy. It may feel weird, again, just getting deeper in, especially if you're a little resistant about getting emotionally involved with people. And I know for me, while I'm very sensitive and I am, affectionate or whatnot, I sometimes I hesitate into getting into people's business. Like, I know that maybe I want to find out some more, or maybe I want to offer help, because that's one of my personal values, like helping, supporting people. You're going through this, let me help you. But because I know how much I like to pour myself into things, I sometimes kind of take a minute before I even ask people what's really going on, because it would mean an investment of my time based on my personality. But never mind that, you're still going to ask and you're still going to help. The world needs us to do that, right? So the third way is to stop assuming. Look, everybody's going through something, especially post-COVID. Like, everybody has a lot on their plate. So stop assuming that the person is doing this wrong because they ship it. She just ship it. I show her how to do that already, and she's still doing the wrong thing. maybe she did it differently in a place she worked at before, or maybe she has something else on her mind, or maybe she just didn't understand what you said. So show her again, be patient, and be empathetic. You might say, oh no, my boss is just stuck up, he's so aloof, he doesn't listen, he doesn't ask anybody about anything. But maybe your boss just have a lot on his plate going on. Maybe he has a lot to manage, a lot to put into place, and sometimes he's walking past you and he's dealing with 5 issues and just forget to ask you about it. I'm not saying that doesn't negate the fact that as your boss you should be trying to be engaging with people. I'm just saying you as a person, recognizing the flaw in somebody else, be empathetic about it. Like stop assuming. And if you find somebody is being evasive or being aloof and it matters to you, because people can be evasive and aloof if they want to. Does it matter? Is it changing the little zeros on your salary? No. So if it's something that matters, like it's a relationship that you need to fix, then have the conversation about it. Other than that, live and let live, baby. that's showing empathy. The 4th way to show a little empathy at work is to bless before you go in. This is very important and a little bit woo-woo, but here's what I'm saying. Hear me out. Sometimes you could walk into a room and you could sense that that people were just talking about you, or you could sense the kind of coldness, sense the bad energy when you walk in. So here's an empathetic way of dealing with it. Instead of going in there and meeting with the same, whatever attitudes or whatever people giving you a cold shoulder or whatnot, bless them. Bring your beauty, bring your joy, bring your exuberance into the room with you. Walk into that place full of vibes, because that's what you bring. And that is a way of changing the experience that people have. If their experience is to be cold and off the shoulder and treat people badly because they don't fit in the crew or they don't fit in the clique, you bring the love into the situation. This is something that I had to make myself do, and it works. Because I'm happy going in and I'm happy coming out. And that is so important. You're being empathetic to yourself and you're being empathetic to others when you do that. The 5th and final way I'm going to suggest that you can be empathetic is to call in before you call out. So it's easy nowadays to call people out. You go on Facebook, you go on WhatsApp, you go on Instagram, you just spew. You say what you have to say about somebody and you have no real implications, because the person can't really come to the computer and talk to you about it, and you get it off your chest. You say what you have to say. Too bad if they didn't like it, whatever now. But if it's somebody, if it's somebody that matters to you especially, I feel it's important. If you see somebody doing something wrong, if you see somebody having an experience or going through something that you don't think is right, to call the person in, like send them a direct message. The same energy you're taking to type up on Facebook, these people should know better than da-da-da-da. Send a person a direct message. Say, hey, I saw you said this. I don't think it's right. This is my opinion on it, and I feel like you should have handled it better. You're being empathetic, because you have to remember how that person is feeling on the other end of the shitstorm. So let's say the person really did do something and mess up big time. You know how that feels like when everybody starts coming down on you at the same time. It is awful. It is awful. So don't do something that you wouldn't want to be done to you. Remember to show empathy by calling the person in, pull them aside and say, hey, this happened. This is how it could be handled. This is an option that you have. You don't have to support, you don't have to agree to what a person do, but just be empathetic by letting them know that this is wrong, but this is an alternative. We all need support. Try it. All right. So these are 5 ways that I am suggesting that we can try to be more empathetic, especially in the post-COVID-19, because there's a lot going on and there's a lot of tension in the area. People may be a little more combative, but instead of going ahead with conflict, you can do one of these 5 things. You can create a call-in culture instead of a call-out. Instead of always going and talk about all the things people doing wrong, you call them and say, look, I don't think you handled this situation with this person correctly. You really should have said, pull this person aside. You should not have gone straight and blow this thing out of proportion. This is how it should be handled. Don't escalate stuff. Bless before you go, and walk with how you want to be received. People might have the cold shoulder and whatnot. They have their own experiences, but you can share your experiences with them, which is if you're happy and a healthy and a whole person interested in having a fascinating and fabulous life, girl, you go ahead and you show them this is what you are about, and you might just influence other people to do the same thing. So bless before you go in. Stop assuming. You don't know what people dealing with. You don't know what they have on their plate. You don't know how much drama they have in their households before they come to you. And I know that is not your problem, but it affects people. People can't compartmentalize how they feel. At least not a lot of people are able to do that. So don't assume. Be supportive by trying your best to understand how somebody else might be in a situation like that, if you were in their situation. And then ask better questions. Let people clarify if they have an issue. What is the issue? Where do you want me to help you? How can I help you better? And always rethink how you listen to people. Don't just listen to respond. Listen to see if you can draw out any underlying issues so that you can support people better. I hope you found this helpful and that you are more empathetic in your fascinating, fabulous life. Thanks for joining me for another episode, guys. Take good care. Bye.